we go. James Shannon alongside here on a Sunday afternoon. It was a hectic weekend, to say the least. And so happy that you decided to tune in on this Sunday afternoon. Real quick, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsors because without them, this weekend would not have happened. A lot of people say, well, you keep talking about them. It's very, very crucial what they do. They enable myself to go over 1,000 miles in 2 days, both to Huntsville, Alabama, and to Spartanburg, South Carolina, or Greenville, South Carolina, technically. So complete wealth management, complete real estate, your one-stop shop for financial coaching and asset management. Goolsby and Young, Jason Goolsby and J.D. Young of Blackwell Realty, Fairlife Core Power Protein, Brent Atkinson with Wycard Realtors, the Realty Group, and by Sutton Pools. Those are our presenting sponsors. Of course, it's never too late to jump on board. You can, if you want to get involved, go ahead and go for it. Never gonna complain. Never gonna argue. But yeah, like I said, hectic weekend. Caught some good football games. I do apologize about the quality of the broadcasts. Obviously, video issues. So everyone kind of saw the stuff about the new computer last week. The old computer died Sunday, about 30 minutes before the show, so we pulled the show off. Got the new computer ordered, and thanks to UPS, it didn't get here until 30 minutes after I left Friday to head to Huntsville. So then we had to try to get it set up between the game Friday and Saturday. Other things were happening Saturday, and there you go. That's what happened. So enough of that. But go back just real quick. Even if you will never use these sponsors, okay, I get it. Okay, maybe you've got a guy that you prefer as your realtor or for your wealth management. Maybe you don't like Fairlife Core Power. Maybe you already have a pool and you don't need anything done to it. I get all of that. At bare minimum, at least shoot these folks a message. You can find them on social media, Instagram, Facebook, for the most part. I believe they're all on there. But just shoot them a message and say, hey, thank you for supporting the coverage of 8-Man football. Thank you for supporting 8-Man Extreme. Thank you for, just thank them. Because without them, the travel's not possible. This whole season, again, we don't make I don't make any money off of this at all. But they make the travel possible. They make the 1,000 miles in 2 days possible because it takes car fuel, it takes body fuel to make that travel happen. It takes equipment to pull the games off, and to be able to do good quality broadcasts. Which again, I understand the last couple games have not been that. I get that. Just a byproduct of lack of manpower, honestly. But I do want to take the time to shout out a couple people, and unfortunately, I dropped the ball. I don't have a couple of the names, but the film person for the Freedom Cowboys, the guy that records their games, want to give a shout out to him because that's how we had video the other day. As you could tell, all the stuff around the screen, it was from him filming. Finally got that figured out about halftime. And then yesterday in South Carolina, I want to give a shout out to Dixon Massengill for hopping on the broadcast, kind of trying to help make that happen and provide some commentary. It did not run smooth, so it wasn't the best, but I do appreciate him hopping on. And then his dad actually volunteered to do the camera. So his dad was running the camera, and he was on commentary. And, again, it doesn't seem like it was much, but it was much appreciated because, it's tough to be a one-man show and try to pull a broadcast off. So with those people contributing, it was a big blessing. So I want to thank them for that, and I appreciate it a lot. hopefully producer Audrey, director Jack, a couple other people will be on board throughout the season. Just things coming up, things happening, life happens. Completely understand. No problems. So there's that. Got a good show for you lined up. Good show lined up for you. As you saw on social media, if you saw it on social media, 4:30 we'll bring on Taryn Pullum. He is the head coach of the Cornerstone Spartans, and of course Saturday we'll have that game from North Little Rock. It'll be Cornerstone Spartans at Southwest Christian. Excited about that one. And then tentatively Friday night is going to be Grace Baptist at Lighthouse Christian. Still working out a couple of details with that. Not in terms of the teams, but scheduling and personnel wise, trying to figure some stuff out with that. So we will update y'all closer to time about whether or not the game will happen, whether or not the broadcast happens. The game will happen regardless, but whether or not the broadcast happens. Really busy weekend. Of course, everybody kind of getting going here in the first weekend of September. Had some Thursday games, Friday night, Saturday night. So we'll run through some of the scores real quick. Cornerstone Family, 49. Maranatha Christian, nothing. Fort Wayne Crusaders out of Indiana, 60. Washtenaw Saints, nothing. And then Tuscaloosa Christian, 50. Meadowview Christian, nothing. So those were the games happening on Thursday night, as well as I would be remiss, and I have forgotten this the last couple weeks. I absolutely hate myself for forgetting it. Let me make sure I've got the score pulled up. I have forgotten to mention one Tennessee 8-man team, and to my detriment, but real good game Thursday night, and we will see them next weekend when they take on Alabama School for the Deaf. It's Tennessee School for the Deaf, the Vikings. They played this past Thursday night, and I also forgot to mention the score from the Thursday night before that. So the Schools for the Deaf typically play on Thursdays or Saturdays. Saturdays reserved for games with either a little bit of travel involved or like a homecoming, and then most of the games played on Thursday because the way their schedule works, the kids are on campus. The kids that stay on campus are there from Monday to Thursday, and then they have a 3-day weekend. So that's just the way their schedule works. Most of these Schools for the Deaf, that's how it works. Occasionally, you'll get the Friday night game every blue moon, but it typically doesn't happen. So the first game that Tennessee School for the Deaf played, it was in Talladega, Alabama, and they took a 38-6 loss. And then this past Thursday at home, they actually beat South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind 44-36. I've seen a couple stats from the game. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull a couple of those up real quick because it was they had a young man that was making a lot of noise last year, and he had an absolute great game. Okay, so here we go. So Gage Conger, some of you might remember hit that name from last year. Like I said, 44-36. So here's how he contributed to the win. 20 carries, 201 yards, 4 touchdowns. He also had a fumble. Hang on, where's the defense? He had 2 fumble recoveries and 2 forced fumbles in the game as well. He had 7 total tackles and some kickoff returns, 2 kickoff returns. Averaging 21 yards. So, showed up in a big way for the Vikings. So, the Vikings moved to 1-1. And we'll talk about the game that they have coming up here in a little bit. They're actually off this week. So, the next time we'll see them is that Alabama School for the Deaf game at home. Some of you teams want to complain about travel. Tennessee School for the Deaf, they've already been to Alabama. And then they will go to Louisiana School for the Deaf and Mississippi School for the Deaf, and they are hosting Indiana School for the Deaf. So there's your travel for you a little bit. Running through a couple more of the scores from Friday night. Of course, you had Christian Community 41, Sacred Heart nothing, East Central 65, Trinity Christian nothing. I'm going to skim through some of these blowouts. Evangel Lightning, 41, Southern Prep, nothing. Franklin Christian, a big 56-14 win over Grace Baptist. here in Tennessee. And then the Freedom Cowboys, like you saw on the broadcast, big 38-13 win over Ezekiel Academy. And so it's just kind of running the show there in Alabama, doing their thing. And we'll mention the rankings here in a minute because we did get those in. Harvest Christian 56, Orangeburg Christian 8. That's from South Carolina. Jacksonville Christian 44, Cornerstone Rainsville 40. This game in Alabama was actually interesting because both these teams came in 2-0, and Jacksonville Christian was actually down at the half to Cornerstone Rainsville and had to come back and win that game. KC East, another big win over Manhattan Eagles, 70-44. Let's see any other close ones. Russell Christian 36, North River 19. A lot of blowouts, a lot of shutouts on Friday for Friday night. Tri-Cities Christian hosted their first game at Lakeway. Lakeway hosted them, and South Haven Christian went up there, got the big win, 64-36. Providence Pack Panthers 50, Augusta Eagles 22. So, and then on Saturday you had Crossover Prep 74, Cornerstone Spartans 28, and then the game you saw last night, Cary Christian out of Cary, North Carolina 48, Greenville Hurricanes nothing. So a big win for Cary Christian, and dare I say, a big win for North Carolina 8-man football. Seems like, maybe it was a little underrated for those that didn't know about North Carolina 8-man. They kind of popped on the scene now with a big win. Southern Christian 20, also from Friday night. Southern Christian 28, Stewart County High School out of Georgia 14. So a big win for the Patriots down in Alabama. And then let's see if I missed any other scores. Tabernacle Christian 44, Success Unlimited nothing. And I think that's it. Tennessee Heat 40, Franklin Classical nothing. Yeah, that'll do it. So there you go. Like I said, a lot of blowouts on Friday night, and as the season gets going, of course, you get in these conference games, you have the teams at the top of the conference, you have the teams about midway through the conference kind of struggling, teams at the bottom struggling. So you'll see a lot of those games, and it's just that time of year, that time of the season. It happens. There's teams that are rebuilding, and they'll play a team that's already rebuilt or, reloaded. And, like I said, it happens. It's not a knock on anybody, but it's part of the game. Going over to Georgia real quick. I want to get a couple of these scores in. No Thursday night games. You had Fidelis Christian 32, and then Kingsway Christian actually got the win 42. So 42-32 Kingsway Christian. Unity Christian out of Rome, Georgia 60, Griffin Christian 8. And then Johnson's Ferry Christian 42, Cross Point Christian 24. And I'm trying to get through, let's see, trying to find some more of the gap scores. Let's see. We'll see if we can't get some of them pulled up here. I know there was Horizon Christian. Some of these other states are split up in different ways, different districts, different regions. Let's see. Horizon Christian in Georgia. Where are you at? Come on, Max Preps. There we go. All right. Let's look at their region. So Friday night you had Horizon Christian 31, New Creation Christian nothing. Mentioned Kingsway, Hearts Academy 64, People's Baptist nothing. Victory Baptist 22, Central Christian 19. And then a couple other games. Let me pull their scores up real quick. I want to hop over to the Heartland Conference. I mentioned Cornerstone Spartans yesterday and Crossover Prep. But I also want to mention the rest of, let's see, where did it go? Mention the rest of the Heartland Conference, of course, teams in Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, and Mississippi. I don't think they have any Kansas teams. If my computer will cooperate. There we go. All right. So, Delta Streets Academy, Unity Christian. That game did not happen because Unity Christian actually ended up beating Victory Christian out of Mississippi as well, 12-0. Arkansas Christian. Let's see if they played. I know there's Oklahoma School for the Deaf 36, Life Christian 32, Southwest Christian 40, Arkansas Christian 14, and then Destiny Christian with the loss to Waurika. They're in Oklahoma. Let's see. Should be some more games on Friday night. Nope, that's it. So, yeah, like I said, you had Unity Christian and Victory Christian coming out of the CFA, and they got the big win to move them to 1-1 overall. Unity Christian out of Leland, Mississippi. So for the Soldiers, 50-38 loss 2 weeks ago. Oh, so the win over Victory Christian. Okay, I apologize. The win over Victory Christian wasn't this past Friday. It was week before. So Unity Christian, Max Preps does not show any games for them on Friday night. So there you go. Let's take a look at the rankings real quick. So there's actually 2 sets of rankings that are supposed to be coming out this year. Of course, everyone knows about the NHSA rankings, and there's also now going to be the National 8 Football Association rankings. So, waiting to get a look at those. But quick recap of the NHSA rankings, which of course those are posted on Facebook right now, so you can go check those out. The page is National High School Tournament 8-Man Football. But recapping what has happened between last week and this week with the rankings. Of course, you had Evangel Christian staying at number 1, Franklin Christian at number 2, Freedom Cowboys at 3, Russell Christian at 4, Providence Christian at 5. Providence Christian got a big win over Lighthouse Christian on Friday night. Fort Wayne King Crusaders, we mentioned Fort Wayne getting the win on Thursday. They stay at number 6. And then KC East, I mentioned they had won. I think I mentioned they had won on, let's see, they played on Friday. They beat Manhattan Eagles. So they actually move up to number 7. They were previously at number 9. Cornerstone Christian drops to number 11 with the loss to Jacksonville Christian, and then Jacksonville Christian actually moves to number 10. So we'll keep going in order. So KC East is now number 7. Lighthouse Homeschool at 8. They stay at number 8. Christian Community last week was at 10, and then with the win over Sacred Heart, they move up to 9. And then Jacksonville Christian takes that number 10 spot in the top 10. So your top 10, Evangel Christian, Alabama, Franklin Christian, Tennessee, Freedom Cowboys, Alabama, Russell Christian, Mississippi, Providence Christian, Tennessee, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Fort Wayne King, Indiana, KC East out of Missouri, Lighthouse Homeschool out of Alabama, Christian Community out of Tennessee, and Jacksonville Christian out of Alabama, and a couple other teams as we go down through here. Tennessee Heat, I did notice they moved up. Springwood School also moved up. And let's see, Wichita Warriors out of Wichita, Kansas. They moved to number 18 from 30 to 18. Let's see. Southwest Louisiana Homeschool, currently at number 19. They were at, let's see, where were they at? Number 17. So they dropped a couple spots, having not played this past weekend. I don't think they played this last weekend. No, doesn't look like it. I don't think so. Scrolling down through a couple more of these. You had Cornerstone Family out of Topeka, Kansas. They moved up to number 21. And they were previously at, where did they go? Cornerstone Family last week was at 19. So they actually dropped to 21. So they did not move up. Grace Baptist is now at number 23. They were previously at number 21. So a couple teams moving down, a couple teams moving into the top 10. Always kind of interesting to get several opinions on where these teams rank with each other. A lot of Tennessee and Alabama, a little bit of Mississippi, a little bit of Indiana, Missouri, kind of sprinkled in there. So there you have it. And, of course, the rankings are primarily teams that could go compete at the national tournament in Panama City Beach, Florida in November, second weekend of November. And so kind of taking a look. But, I mean, it would be an interesting top four. Let's say they just get the top four. So you've got Evangel Christian out of Alabama, Franklin Christian out of Tennessee, Freedom Cowboys out of Alabama, and Russell Christian out of Mississippi. It's a pretty interesting top four. And then, let's say, for sake of argument, let's say Russell can't make it. You plug in Fort Wayne King Crusaders out of Indiana. Still pretty solid top four. Let's say Freedom doesn't make it. Plug in KC East. Or, FCA can't make it. Plug in KC East. So at that point, your top four would be Alabama, Tennessee, Indiana, and Missouri. It's pretty widespread, especially with the way it's been the last couple of years. A lot of teams from other states not making the trip down. It would be interesting to see what happens. So, all that being said, so that's what happened this last weekend. A lot of football. I love the fact that we are just full gear. There's a ton of games. I know I missed a couple games, a couple scores. I know I'm not giving somebody a shout out. I'm very well aware of that. So if that is the case, I do apologize. It is definitely not intentional. But it happens. So there you go. Let's see. Let's get ready to bring on our first guest. We'll get him queued up real quick. Let's see. And you can't hear it, but phone is ringing. So, joining me now is the head coach of the Cornerstone Spartans out of Joplin, Missouri. Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Can you hear me pretty good? Any echo? Everything good audio-wise?
Yeah, I hear you pretty well. There's like a light screeching in the back, but that's about it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll see if I can't fix that as we talk. Coach, so for everyone who is not familiar, because there's a lot of people from Tennessee, Alabama, the South listening, maybe a couple people there in the Midwest, but for those that are not familiar with Cornerstone Spartans and yourself, let's go ahead and get everybody acquainted.
Yeah, so we cater our team mostly to the homeschool community in our area. We have kids that travel from about an hour away to come play for us. The program was started by my old coach. His name was Jerry Collier. He started it because here in Joplin, Missouri, youth football stops at 6th grade. And when his oldest son, who was homeschooled, turned 7th grade, he didn't have any place to go. So we started up an 8-man team. That first season, he had 8 guys. And since then, the program has gone through ups and downs, having, as many as 22, as few as 12. And it's been just going strong this whole time. We tell all our boys that, yeah, it's a football program, but our main goal as coaches and leaders is to teach the boys about Christ through football.
So how long have you guys been a part of the Heartland Conference?
We were actually only a part of the Heartland Conference for 2 years. We're back to independent as of this year.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
Great.
they had some rule changes to the number of kids you can have on your team in homeschool, and we've seen that probably the next few years we're going to be majority homeschool. So we just kind of bowed out before we were kicked out.
And I kind of feel like that's happening across all over the place. Is so many more people are opting to go the homeschool route, and so homeschool sports is really it had a resurgence, and then it had a big surge, kind of dialed back a little bit, and it seems like it's really popping off again.
Oh yeah, especially in this area. We've had, I don't know how, I think three of our new boys this year have said they were playing for school, but with all, COVID and things like that happening to where they weren't very comfortable with not enough restrictions in the area. They just decided on homeschool, and of course, that upset the kids because they weren't having anywhere to go. Well, luckily there's teams like us. There's a team about an hour 15 up north who plays 11-man homeschool in Springfield. There's teams like them, and there's also some of the private schools around here allow homeschool with a couple of exceptions.
There you go. There you go. Now, the Missouri eight-man scene, it's very full of public schools, and of course, Missouri eight-man football all over social media does a great job covering that. A lot of schools that have to co-op with each other and kind of interact with each other. So, have you guys had any interactions with the public school side of eight-man, or you guys kind of have a set schedule?
Yes and no. I get a lot of my advice from Missouri 8-man coaches like Coach Bass and anybody in the Telegram app who I'm asking questions like daily in that app. Shout out to them for sure.
I've
Uh,
heard of it. It seems like it's picking up some steam.
it's yeah, 200 strong at this point, where it's just a bunch of guys who love football, just sharing ideas and different things like that. Coach Greg that we're about to play this Saturday, who you had on a few weeks ago, he's in there too. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But as far as communicating with the Missouri 8-man community, we are unfortunately not eligible to play Missouri schools. So we don't get a lot of contact, but I am very excited. College Heights here in Joplin, it's their first year doing 8-man. Some of our old players are now playing for them because that's where they go to school. So 8-man is in Missouri's eyes finally here in Joplin for College Heights for sure.
In terms of travel, you guys go all over the place. Uh,
Oof.
yeah, just, just the,
We
the the exclamation there kind of punctuated that. In terms of travel, what's the worst it gets?
I think the worst it gets is these next 2 weeks. Like this week, we travel down to Little Rock, which is 4.5 to 5 hours. The week after that, we go to Topeka, Kansas, which is another 4 hours.
Oof.
Luckily for this year, after that, the furthest we go is like an hour away. But the past 2 years, we've been doing a lot of traveling. Last year, we had four plus hour trips, I want to say. So,
Wow.
so, so yeah, not being able to play Missouri, it kind of hurts. But sitting down and looking at it, even if we did get to play Missouri 8-man schools, it'd still be kind of the same situation, traveling 2.5, 3 hours about every week that we'd have an away game.
Because you guys are down in the southwest corner, right?
Correct. And then before College Heist, the next closest 8-man team was Jasper, which I believe is an hour and a half north.
Wow, wow. You guys sound like Kerry Christian, one of the teams we covered. One of the teams we broadcast last night. They actually played. They played two games in South Carolina, one on the east side, one on the west side, and they come from
Whew.
just near Raleigh, North Carolina. So 4 hour trips for both of them. But I do
Yeah.
feel your pain about the game Saturday. I think it's 5.5 hours for us.
Yeah.
So it'll
Yeah.
be fun. It'll be an early morning.
It
Um,
will be. Yeah.
so in terms of the competition you guys play, and I know there's a lot of technical questions, but I'm just curious. So when you guys put your schedule together, is it kind of a collection of who you've played in the past, or how often are you guys looking, for new teams and kind of looking for new challenges?
I would say so. We target 8 games a year. I would say two of those games I have to find every year. Teams like Southwest, the team in Topeka is Cornerstone Family School, Claremore Christian. We have a good relationship with, I'd say, about six different teams to where it's a easy home and away every year. But we were supposed to play a different team for our first game. That program closed, unfortunately, so I had to
Mm.
scramble to find a different first game for us. But I would say for the most part, it's easy for us to find games just because I have a good relationship and our team has a good relationship with the teams that we do play.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Now you guys, obviously not the result you've wanted the last couple games,
Yeah.
but you have put points on the board. I'm sure your opponent has not scored on every single drive of the game. So that being the case, and maybe maybe it's just guys that showed up during the off season, during workouts or something, or during training camp. Want to give this opportunity for you to give some of your guys a shout out.
Yeah, first of all, I'll start off with a couple of my seniors. One for sure I'm going to shout out is Jack Griffith. I think of the seniors that I have, with how much football he's been playing through his whole life, with where he is from where he started with me to where he is now, I do think he will be playing at the college level next year.
Okay, yeah.
Uh, and then for the ones that we have that are still playing, the other boy I want to shout out, he unfortunately, Elias Bull, he was supposed to be my quarterback this year. He spent all summer working with a QB trainer, getting ready, because the boy's a natural middle linebacker slash fullback. But when I put him in the quarterback position last year, he took all the offseason this last year to get ready to play quarterback. And halfway through the first quarter, tears his ACL.
Oh man.
Yeah, we had our
Oh
whole
man.
we had our whole offense surrounded around him to be able to air out the ball a little more. We've got great receivers, but unfortunately, with that happening, we had to, in the middle of that game, make a bunch of changes, for this game. But like you said, we put up points, I will say, for more than half of my team not playing football before. I'm very proud of how they're adjusting. Because, like I said, we went from a spread to a double wing offense in the middle of the first game, and we still put up another 22 points on that team.
Yeah.
And then last week, a lot of players were playing positions they didn't play before, and we put up 28 points. So offensively, I'm very happy. Of course, you see how many that we've given up, so we have a lot to work on defensively. But yeah, I have a lot of senior leaders as well: Abe Maples, Caleb Roberts. Those two have been with the team for a long time as well. And then we have a lot of new boys who, like my linemen, all of them, all three starters on my line, never played football before, but they're all, they look like they, eat and breathe football.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Perrin Boswell, Andrew Manival, Hunter Bard, and then even my younger guys, the ones that came in, they stepped in and did great in the game we had last week. So yeah, we have a very green team, a very young team, but a team that I'm glad that we have.
With you guys, and per Max Preps, I don't know how accurate it is, but you
Mhm.
guys, the first game, of course, on Friday night, and the rest of them on Saturday. I believe that concurs with the schedule you guys put out. With all the Saturday games, and I know whether that's the home situation or the travel situation, kind of dictates that that being a necessity. Um, how does that week differ? Because I'm sure everybody talks about Friday night football, Friday night lights. Well, there's good games happening on Saturday too, and
Oh, for
sometimes that
sure.
has to happen. So how does the schedule? Does the schedule change any with playing all straight Saturday games?
Um, for us, not really. If you compare it to like an actual high school, we still only have 4 days of practice before a game because we do not practice on Wednesdays, and that's because a lot of our kids go to church Wednesday night. So getting them to football practice on Wednesday would be close to impossible.
Right.
So we only have 4 days of practice, just like any other team playing on Friday. So when we play on Fridays, we have a disadvantage of only having 3 weeks of before a game. So,
Mm.
coaches are upset that this week, if they're like us and they don't do practice on Monday due to Labor Day, well, we're in the same situation, even though we have the game on Saturday, we're only getting 3 days of practice.
Mm. Well, you guys play some of the Arkansas teams, but you also play like a Kansas and an Oklahoma. Some teams from out that way. Are there any difference in the styles that that you see that are going to be that are just different?
Honestly, the biggest difference that we see week to week is not so much like what kind of offenses and defenses we see. We never know what size field we're playing on. Like
Really?
the first 2 weeks we played on just a regular 100-yard field. I'm sorry, the first week we played on a regular 100-yard field. Of course, our field is Missouri regulated the 40 by 80. I believe Coach Ferguson said we're playing on a regular field next week. So week to week, we don't know what size field we're playing on. But I just tell my boys, hey, football is football, grass is grass. It doesn't matter where the sidelines are. Get out there and play the game. Um, I've noticed since like the beginning, 'cause I played 8-man ball throughout high school.
Yeah.
It's really taken off from like a power I or under center, all of that, to most teams now are spread out. They use the entire field, four receivers, three receivers with a tight end, whatever you do. So yeah, I think everyone's kind of catching up to that type of football. But like I said, the only thing we worry about each week is how big the field is, and even that's not a worry for us because we're used to not knowing exactly what kind of field we're on each week.
Well, and I noticed that too, because I played 8 man as well. And, back when I played, which would be, let's see, 2011, so this is 11 years ago. Back when
Mhm.
I played, every blue moon, if it's a Hail Mary situation, you might see a shotgun or a pistol.
Right.
Nowadays, each game, I might be able to count on my hands the number of times I see a quarterback go under center. And even when it's victory formation, it's usually not under center.
Right.
That's just the way it happens. So it's been interesting to kind of see how the game has changed in terms of, and like you said, when obviously it helps to be able to spread it out when you're playing on a full size field, but even on a regular 8 man field, there's still teams spreading it out.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like there's the Claremore team. They're a really good spread out the ball team now. Like coaches say, they graduated quite a bit of seniors, but I believe they led the Heartland Conference in passing last year and the year before that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no matter what size the field is, coaches and teams find a way to air the ball out.
Uh, I don't want this to sound like a trick question, but it is a question I have to ask.
Okay.
If if you could, I don't want to say call out, but if you could say on air, is there anybody that you look at and you go, you know what, I really want to crack at that team. I really want to match up with them. Who you got?
Co- there's see that's the thing. I would just love to play a game in Missouri. I would love to play a Missouri team in Missouri. We haven't been able to play one since 2015, which was when I was playing. And even that school, they were just like us. They were just a homeschool collective who weren't technically Misha. So I would love to just play any team in Missouri at this point. It's okay if I'm going to call somebody out just because it would be a fantastic rivalry. I'd love to play College Heights because
There you
one,
go.
we get to play on their turf field. They get to play at Joplin High School. I would love to do that. Two, it's just been so long since they've had football. It would just be nice for if both sets of our fans we'd fill the stadium.
Oh,
It'd
for
be a
sure.
great game. Yeah, but I'd love to go up to Northland Christian and play Coach Bass. I'd love to go, have the challenges of playing like Oric or North Andrews. I would just love to play a game in Missouri. And all my boys are always asking, Coach, why can't we play a Missouri team? Well, if y'all want to play football, we got to travel. That's just what that is. I know some of y'all are listening, and that's just what that is.
There you go. Well, that's the thing too. At some point, somebody's going to listen to this and go, you know what? Why can't it happen? There's been so many
Yeah.
things throughout 8 Man the last few years that it's always like, well, it's never happened before, or it can't happen. It's like, why? Why can't we just put athletes on the field?
Yeah,
That
well,
that's the
the
thing.
reason we get is because in order for homeschool kids in Missouri to play, organized sports or for a school, they have to follow certain homeschool curriculums, and
Ah,
to me that doesn't make any sense. A homeschool curriculum is, done at home. Why do we? If you're doing the school work and you have to send it to the state, that's not really homeschool. That's just doing school at home to me.
yeah.
So yeah, unless I were to talk all of my players' parents into switching their entire homeschool curriculum, we can't play Missouri teams.
Well, and it seems like kind of a Tennessee situation in terms of homeschool kids can play for public schools, but it's kind of that same deal. If I'm correct, I believe that's the fact. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
But at least, at minimum, shout out to Missouri for not being behind the times and actually sanctioning 8 man football, because there's
Yes.
a lot of
Yes.
states that they have not caught up to that yet, and you have a lot of public school teams or even private school teams that are too prideful and they don't want to go play 8 man, and those kids suffer week in and week out and just get blown out for years upon end. But they can take pride that they're playing 11 man.
Yeah, the stigma against 8-man football is ridiculous. At some point, football is football.
Right.
Especially for kids in high school. I would do anything on earth to make sure that, my son or nephew or whoever had the opportunity to play football in high school, just because high school football to me is the greatest type of football that there is. So, states being upset that there's only 8 on the field instead of 11 at a time doesn't make any sense. That's not what they see on Sundays. Well, we play on Fridays and Saturdays. So why do you need to see the same? You're not going to see the same level of talent. So, let the boys play.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I got one last question. With you guys being independent, and we'll have to see how your schedule shakes out, how your season shakes out, and it would be dependent on if everyone was in, they wanted to be involved. What are the chances we get to see y'all in Panama City?
We got to play some defense, coach. And then we play some defense, and the ones that are listening, y'all learn to tackle. We'll go to Panama City, I promise. But they're so selective. We already lost 2, so we're, as you would say, on the bubble, or the
Yeah.
first one's out. So yeah, we would love to come back, because we were there. My brother's senior year, he got to go down there,
Yeah.
and we placed 3rd. So I would love to go back there, but I'm not going to sin. If we don't win a single game and we get invited just because we get invited, which I know we won't if we don't win a single game. But yeah, so you talk to the boys that I know are listening right now. You tell them to start tackling, and we'll go to Panama City.
Let's see. You guys currently sit at number 34.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
not
yeah.
not to put a not to put a damper on it, but it would be interesting though. It would be interesting to get some guys from Missouri down there. It's been very
It'd be the
South heavy, so it'd be nice
it'd
to
be
be
the
able to spread
comeback
it
of the
out.
year.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Oh man.
Well, Coach, I appreciate. I love sending the message to your guys that are listening. Hey, go ahead and do it. I
Yeah,
appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, Coach, and looking forward to seeing y'all in Southwest on Saturday.
absolutely. Can't wait.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll see you.
Have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too. All right, that's Coach Taryn Pullum. He is from Cornerstone Spartans out of Joplin, Missouri, and man, a little bit of travel. Little bit of travel. They will be in. He mentioned Oklahoma. They'll be in Arkansas. They'll be in Kansas. Oklahoma again. Whew. It's a lot of travel. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Before we bring our next guest on, the National 8-Man Football Association has released their rankings, and it's a little more widespread than the NHSA, and for different associations and organizations, rank teams have teams on their rankings, different reasons. So their rankings, let's see, it's as of this week. Yeah, just put it out. So I mentioned it's a little more widespread. So they've got Evangel Christian, number 1, 4-0, out of Alabama. They've got Drexel/Miami out of Missouri at 2-0. St. David out of Arizona at 3-0. Freedom Cowboys out of Alabama at 3-0. Unity Christian out of Georgia at 3-0. Logan, I guess high school, would be out of New Mexico at number 6. Masters Academy out of Florida at number 7. Cary Christian out of North Carolina at number 8. Dove Creek, I believe high school, out of Colorado. Let's double check that. If I can remember how to spell Colorado. Let's see. It would be, I believe it is Dove Creek High School, which Colorado has a lot of public school football. And then number 10, Manchester Academy out of Mississippi. And they also have teams from Wisconsin, Virginia, Georgia, mentioned Georgia, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Illinois. And they have a top 25. So that is where they're going with their rankings. And it's just interesting. It's interesting to see where everybody puts the different teams. But you can find their Instagram page. It's National 8 Football Association. And let's see. They got a website link on there. And they do have listed out, of course, they got some pictures, and they've got listed out the 2022 Bowl Game Series happening Friday, November 11th, and Saturday, November 12th. So they'll have the Liberty Bowl and the Carolina Bowl on Friday, and then the Upstate Bowl, Tri-State Bowl, Warrior Bowl, and Palmetto Bowl happening on Saturday. So if you're a team out there that maybe you don't get picked for Panama City for the national tournament, maybe it's just not your flavor. 2 games in 3 days is not for everybody. I completely understand that. I get that. Maybe you don't want to go down there for 3 or 4 days. Try to figure out how to get put up and everything. Maybe this is something where you can reach out to them and go, hey, let's just play a bowl game in South Carolina. Let's see, where in South Carolina? Pickens, South Carolina. So there you go. That is the National 8-Man Football Association rankings. So now we got 2 sets of rankings to look at. Always interesting. Always interesting. Hang on, I want to look at these one more time. Let's see, because there were a couple other teams on here. Let's see. Mention Virginia, Brunswick Academy out of Virginia, Spring Hill High School out of Arkansas, Martinsville High School out of Illinois, Yarmouth out of Maine at number 20. St. Ignatius out of, if I have my acronyms correct, that's Montana, or abbreviations. Eau Claire out of Michigan at number 24. And then Midland out of Iowa at number 25. So very, like I said, very, very widespread. But I love it. I love that there's more people taking a look at 8-Man and saying, hey, let's give our opinion of it. I'm not complaining at all. Hey, listen, I'll talk about it all day long. Does not bother me one bit at all. So that being that, real quick, I want to look at, well, first off, I know I mentioned at the top of the show, but for those of y'all that weren't listening, I do want to talk real quick about our sponsors. They make the travel happen. It takes fuel, car fuel. It takes body fuel to do 1,000 miles in 2 days. Do game in Huntsville, Alabama, and Greenville, South Carolina. So the sponsors this year that are making this possible, and again, it's never too late to jump in. If you want to jump in, be a sponsor, just reach out to us on social media. You can shoot us an email, 8manextreme@gmail.com, and get some more info on the sponsorship packages. But a couple of our sponsors, J.D. Young and Jason Goolsby of Blackwell Realty, Complete Wealth Management, Complete Real Estate. Complete is the company. Fairlife Core Power Protein, Brent Atkinson with Whitecard Realtors, the Realty Group, and Sutton Pools. And so all these folks make the travel possible. They make equipment possible. Every season during the off season, there's a couple things that we say, hey, we need to upgrade this. We need to replace this. Something's going bad. Something's not working. It's got to be replaced. Speaking of replaced, I do want to talk about the computer stuff last week. I really did not want to say anything publicly about the computer situation. Just decided to say, hey, here's what's going on. If you want to do something cool, if not, just pray. Just, hopefully everything works out. In 2 hours, you folks absolutely blew my mind and raised the, sent in the amount of money that it took to replace the computer. And it's much appreciated. Like I said, I know the broadcast the last couple of weeks have not been great. Leaving last night, had the new computer last night and was trying to get everything set up while doing a broadcast just because of travel and timing issues. And so it'll be straightened out. It'll get fixed. But really, really appreciate it. And it means a lot. It means a lot to see how the 8-Man community kind of rallies and says, hey, here's something that's going on that we can help, that we can contribute with. It means a lot. And it means a lot, these sponsors as well. These folks that have made a massive commitment before the season to jump on board. Really, really appreciate it. Real quick, I realize. Let's see. I don't know that I mentioned all of the AISA games from this past weekend, so I want to pull those up real quick. Good old Max Preps. Seems like Max Preps has missed us. They're losing a step this season. They're behind on a couple things. I know a lot of times they rely on people to update them, but still, you got to be better. You got to do better. Um, Looking real quick. Let's see. AISA. Let's see if I can't pull up their full schedule of AISA games from this past weekend. I know Springwood School beat Evangel Christian on Montgomery 52-32. I don't know why this will not pull up. There we go. There we go. Okay. And then, of course, Evangel Christian took down Southern Prep. Tuscaloosa Christian took down Meadowview. Russell Christian took down North River. And Cornerstone Christian Columbiana played a 11-man game. I think that's all of the AISA teams. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that's all the games. So that was the AISA schedule from this last Friday. Let's get our next guest set up here. See if we can't get him on the line. Just so you can hear the ringing. Joining me now is the head coach of Springwood School, the Wildcats out of Lynette, Alabama. It's Coach Joseph Birch. Coach, I appreciate you taking time to talk to me.
Man, thanks. Thanks for having us on.
Man, the last couple weeks, you guys have been on an absolute roll. Of course, 2 big conference wins there in the AISA. And this year being you guys' first year in 8-man, so a lot of teams that, maybe a lot of people that aren't from Alabama aren't familiar with you guys. So I like to do this with new coaches and new teams that we talk to. Want to give you a chance to introduce yourself and your school.
Okay, well, I'm Joseph Birch or Joey Birch. I've been called a lot of different things, but I'll go by either one of those. Coach will do too.
There you go.
And, I've been down here, spent most of my career and grew up in North Alabama around the Shoals area and retired down to the Auburn area to be near grandbabies.
There you go.
And I stayed retired about 21 days, and I wanted to do something I love doing, so I wanted to get back into coaching and teaching. I'd been an administrator and a teacher up in North Alabama for about 33 years, and I found this little school called Springwood School, and, man, I fell in love with it, and things just kind of happened along the way, and I was assistant coach last year and became the head coach this year, and we've made that transition into 8-man football. And, man, it's been great for us. It's kind of the excitement is unbelievable around campus. The work ethic that our guys and our parents and just our staff and our administrators, everybody's put in has been just a blessing for me. And I'm having a ball doing it.
I wanted to ask you about that because whenever AISA decided to sanction 8-man, you guys were in and it's been a tough couple years for the Wildcats. But what were some of the things that went behind the decision to make that move? Because, like you said,
involved in any of that decision, but I do think it's good for us. I think our numbers. We were a big mill town, and this is just a little history of the school. And when the mills went away, and Kia came in, and we thought we were going to get some, population student increase from it, and we did some because they're big in our industry. But our school is shrank. We lost, 100, 150 students, over the past probably 10 years or so.
Wow.
And, our size is we have about 240 or 50 right now, K through 12. We're all on one campus. It's a beautiful 48-acre campus. And we're right on the Georgia-Alabama line.
Right.
Lynette, Valley, and West Point, Georgia all kind of touch each other. You don't know when you're going from one city to the next. Kind of unique thing is we're in Alabama, which is Central Time Zone, but our time is, as we like to call it, fast time.
Right.
Eastern time. So I live in Opelika, which is about 22 or 3 minutes away, and drive up 85, and it's a great drive. And I live, when I'm over here on Central Time and when I'm over there on Eastern Time. So I flip back and forth. So
Mm.
that's the only thing that's a little bit confusing for us. But other than that, it's a great little place. And like I said, we've been playing 11 man and just didn't have the numbers. I've got, as you can tell probably by some of the success I have so far, we've got 5 or 6 kids that could play, and they could play
Oh, for
anywhere.
sure.
And but our numbers were so thin that those guys were playing every single snap, and then we had to supplement, to make 11 out of it. We had to supplement with sometimes 7th and 8th graders and kids that just weren't ready to play.
Wow.
And even when we would hang in and fight around with some of these bigger schools that would roll 50, 60 players in here, by halftime, our guys would just give out. And a lot of these schools were too platooning and, resting players. And just second half, they would just beat us up real bad. And it wasn't a good experience for our kids. So that's the thought process. We're trying to grow the school. We've had some change in our administration, and we're doing some very positive things academically and with athletics that we think we are going to grow it. And, I don't know if we'll ever go back to 11 man. We kind of like this little niche that we found. It's
Right.
fun. It's exciting. I mean, it's a wide open game, and, everybody's fired up about it. And, we may do this and that may be what we love doing. But, right now it's what's best for us, and it gives us a chance to be competitive and give our kids that work their tails off just a good football experience and learn those lessons that you do when you play the game.
Well, and obviously success right off the bat really, really helps it. But I did get a chance to catch. You guys have a unique situation. You got your own radio broadcast. A couple guys that handle it. Got the chance
John, he talks a little bit, yeah.
I got the chance to catch the broadcast of the Southern Prep game, and it just I loved hearing that the guys obviously come into the night not very familiar with the game of 8-man, and then by the end of the night they're just like the biggest hype man because they're like, look, this has completely changed everything. Like you said, our guys aren't gassed at halftime. Our guys are rolling. We're playing a team that is, comparable to
Southern
ours.
Prep is, and of course all of y'all probably know, Southern Prep was huge for us.
Yeah.
That was a huge game because Coach Rowland does a great job. He's been so very helpful to me. Because I'm coming in the first game I knew about it was any of our kids. The first game we probably ever saw live was when we played in it.
Right.
As far as 8-man goes, and he's been a great help, and his program is kind of a standard around here as far as 8-man went. So we knew that would be a tough game, and when we came out and did some very good things against him, that made us feel good about where we're at and kind of a good judge because he's opened up and he's 0-3 right now.
Yeah.
But Southern Prep has a good football team.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think they'll get on the roll here in a little bit. They've just played, Evangel. We're pretty decent, and then they played a pretty good 11-man team to open the season.
Yeah. No, they haven't had a pushover schedule the first
No.
couple weeks here coming down the stretch. If there's, of course, there's a lot of teams still in AISA, still in 11-man, and obviously if it works for your school, cool, awesome. But there's a couple schools that it seems like they could benefit from making the move,
Boy.
kind of like you guys did. If
I
anybody,
thought that, and
if
when I looked at the scores on Friday, and I see some of these schools that are just like us, man, that's what pops in my mind. Man, they need to join this, and it's competitive for the kids, just all the things I mentioned before. And yeah, there's a handful of schools that it would really benefit.
But my question being, if any of those coaches or administrators or anything were listening to this, what is the biggest pitch you could give to them to go, hey, you guys need to make the move?
Well, just repeating myself again, I think it gives your kids a fair chance.
Right.
And that's all we want. I have some kids that might go on and they may play a little college ball, and if they want to at some schools, I have a couple that are capable of that. But in the overall big picture of it, we want our kids to learn the things that you're preaching. You want them to, show up and be committed and work hard. And you got to believe if you do all those things, you can be successful. And 8-man gives you a chance to be successful. You're not going to win every game, but at least it puts you on when you're a small school, it puts you on a level playing field.
Yeah,
It gives you
absolutely.
a chance to do the coaching and do the outworking and do the hustling that we talked about. Whereas, we were going games last year, 11-man, and some of these powerhouses, Glenwood would roll in here, and Chambers Academy, and some of those schools that are just, powerhouses in the area. Lee Scott is building a great program. And they would have, 60 plus players, you know, and it just didn't give us a fair chance. So that would be my selling point to them.
Were you involved in putting the schedule together for this
No,
year?
I did not. I inherited all of that. So.
Gotcha. Now, when you look at it, you guys not just have the AISA schools, but you got a couple schools like Southern Christian, a Lighthouse Homeschool, Windsor Academy, New Creation. You guys get to taste a couple of other teams from other associations and other organizations. What are some of the things you're excited about? Kind of getting to outside of your conference and playing some other teams and kind of seeing how they work.
Well, all of it's new to us. Whether it be in conference or out of conference. As a older guy that's coached a long time, I like experience meeting these different coaches, and it's been great dealing with these guys. I mean, we share ideas. We're trying to help each other. It's a very collegial atmosphere that we have amongst ourselves. So I'll just look forward to the guys that I've talked to that are on schedule, just on the phone. I've talked to them several times over the summer, confirming dates and times, because we're on the Eastern time. I always want to make sure that everybody's on the same page with that.
Right.
But it just seems like a great bunch of coaches that are doing the right thing. And like I said, I would like for all of us to, as we talk together, talk about maybe getting an 8-man clinic up here in the state of Alabama, or maybe getting a little bit more organized so that we can, have all three of these different leagues, interplay, and instead of having each separate championships, maybe have a collective championship,
For sure.
So I think really, the way it's going with the way kids are and numbers declining around the state at a lot of small programs, that 8-man's really going to grow. You can see it all over the country. When I knew I was going to do this, man, I jumped on and started talking people to Missouri and a lot of those places where they play it a lot, and learned a lot from those guys as well. And I just think it's going to grow here in the Southeast as well.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not dying. That's for sure. And you hit the nail on the head, with either, kids seeing these big programs and they want to go there to those schools, or, in terms of all the health things that have come out with football and kids kind of, opting out of playing. It has affected the numbers, and, it's a real life situation. Speaking of players, I want to give you a chance. I know you've got some real dogs on your team. I want to give you a chance.
Cats. We'll go. We got some cats.
Okay, cats. My mistake. You got some cats on your team. I want to give you a chance to give some of those young men a shout out.
Oh man, the first two games we if you look at us offensively, we've kind of been two different teams. The first game, we take kind of what they're giving us. They loaded up the box, and our quarterback Ben Cooper was able to spread the ball around. Eli Johnson had a huge game. Caden Cook is both a back and a slot receiver type guy. He had a big game, and we threw the ball around a lot. Line gave us protection. In this game, they wanted to take that away, what they saw on film. So we just loaded up and we ran for about 500 yards. And, our line is the backbone. Offensive line's the backbone of our team. We got Tristan Garrett. He's a big senior that plays our right guard. We were playing against Evangel, and I'm sorry I don't know the kid's name, but he's a heck of a football player, and I think he's a great basketball player that's got several offers as well. He's about 6'4", 6'5", about 240, and he can really play. So when we tried to run around him, he would chase us down, and when we tried to run away from him, he would chase us down. So we just decided we're going to run right at him. That's our best strategy. And Tristan, as that guard, really got his helmet and shoulder pads into his chest and got some leverage. And he really did a good job of stalemating him, and then later in the game moving him so that we could really run the ball. But Tucker Sides is our center. He's just a 9th grader, and we have Braden Mosley as our other guard. He's a big junior for us. So those guys carried the load for us if you run the ball for that many times. And then along with Ben in the backfield, we have Caden Cook. He's a senior. He's a big kid that can move and's got great hands. He's 6 foot, about 235, and runs, 4'8", 4'7", somewhere in there. When he gets open, man, he's got a wicked stiff arm. He's used it twice in both weeks. When he gets open, if a DB's coming up to him, he's in the open. they better think twice, from now on if they watch that film, because he shoots it out there and continues to roll. He ran the ball about 12 times for about 165 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then following him on the other side, we have Jonathan Johnson. We call him John John. He's a senior as well. He's about 6 foot, about 175, and he's got real good speed.
Mm.
He ran it for 19 times for 221 yards and
Oh,
three
wow.
touchdowns. So they blocked for each other. They were unselfish. Man, just did a good job, and we were able to mix enough passing in there on the offense. Defensive side, we have we're something special about our school. We're a boarding school for international students. We have about 30 international students from all over the world,
Oh, nice.
and they're a pleasure for us. I mean, it's a blessing. We get to learn about their cultures and just all other kind of things. And we have 3 on the football team, and one of them is a senior linebacker. He's played for 2 years, and his name is Francisco Lim. And man, he's a solid kid at a middle linebacker. He had tons of tackles, and he comes in and spells Caden Cook on the offensive side when he needs it. And so he showed out on defense along with Dallas Pearson, is a senior we got to come out this year, never has played football. He's learning the game and doing a good job. Also in the secondary, we got Hayden Wolf, that's helping us out. Dallas's brother, Colt Pearson, is new to football. He's a younger kid, a 10th grader. He's a great little quick athlete. So, man, we're pretty solid. And also we got a senior on the defensive line. It's Tucker, our center, Tucker Side's brother, Cameron. And, man, he was our leading tackler last week. He's just a real gritty D-line kid that loves football and loves to get after it. So those are our guys that have been making huge plays so far. And we're mixing some others in there, and we're bringing them along, and hopefully we can develop them as the year goes on.
It seems like you have more than just a team full of cats. You just have a team full. I mean, that's pretty much your whole roster right there. That's awesome. And it's awesome. It's awesome that you're able to give props to every single guy on your roster and go, hey, this is how they contribute. This is where they plug in at. I love that. I love the fact that it seems like the whole roster is contributing.
Well, we've got a lot of seniors.
Yeah.
And these guys have been through the mill. Some of them haven't played, and when I got the job, I really did a good job, as you say, recruiting the halls, getting these kids out.
Right.
We've done things to try to give our kids some pride and make them excited about it. We redid the weight room. Our booster club is called the WAA, the Wildcat Athletic Association. Man, they poured money into our athletic program, and we got a brand new weight room, brand new weights, brand new floor, brand new painting. We just finished up with a brand new dressing room. I had dads and I had coaches. We jumped in there with sledgehammers and tore down walls and redid floors and ceilings. And, man, we have some of the nicest stuff around. So we did that preseason hoping to get people involved and get them excited about it and get them back involved in the program. And that seemed to work. We bought great uniforms, and we looked really good. That was, Deion Sanders, I'm watching right now on TV. That's
what he
says. If you look good, you're going to play good. So we put our kids in the best stuff. And, they've responded to it positively. They started showing up for workouts, and, man, they're dedicated. Everybody talks about a culture change. I think we've truly had one. Our kids are showing up every day for practice in their own time, and it's important to them, and they work hard when they're there. So, that's been a blessing for me just to be a part of it, being a guy that's kind of been retired a little bit and out of it for a little bit. I'm having a ball coaching this type of football.
Oh, yeah,
these kids.
For sure. I don't want to get you to overlook Friday night with Meadowview, because obviously everyone, anything can happen on a Friday night. The next Friday night, though, you guys go to Cornerstone Christian, Columbiana. How's that? How is it, Columbiana?
It's Columbiana. Yeah.
Okay, got it the first time. You guys had a history. I know you might not have been there, but some of the kids that some of those seniors you talk about, they've kind of played them the last couple of years when you guys were both in 11-man. Now you're both in 8-man for AISA. Has there been kind of any talk between the kids about, hey, I really can't wait to play these guys because it's on a whole different, pardon the pun, whole different playing field?
Well, you always preach it, worry about the game in front of you. And I think we've done a pretty good job at that. I hope, we're not getting close enough that our kids do kind of overlook our opponent and looking forward to that. But once again, they were in the same situation that we were in. I think the move to 8 is going to be good for them because they have some very good athletes and big, strong, solid linemen. In the past, and just the 11 man was just like us, wasn't a good fit for them because they had to play the younger kids or inexperienced kids, or they just got wore out.
Right,
So
right.
we're looking forward to that. And, we got Meadowview. It's a pretty long trip from us. From over on the Georgia line to Selma. So it's almost a 2-hour drive, and we'll have to see how we handle that and travel well and all that kind of stuff that's new to us, and take care of business hopefully Friday night. I mean, they've got a quarterback that's he's going to be tough for us to handle. He's a pretty good guy. And once again, when we watch two films and we have Ezekiel Montgomery playing Ezekiel Lightning, at Alabaster, and then our film that we get for Meadowview is Ezekiel Lightning, it's not a real good judge on how good that football team is because,
right.
The Lightning, man, they do everything right.
Evangel's got it. Evangel's got it rolling right now. They
really do, and so our kids kind of learned that lesson last week. We kept preaching to them. They beat Evangel Montgomery fairly well, and said, guys, Evangel Montgomery's got a pretty good football team. Y'all don't know how good this Evangel Lightning team is. I mean, they're solid. They don't make mistakes. They've got solid athletes. They're not tremendously over talented. They just do a good job coaching them, and they're gritty. And so, you can't really judge a team by how their record is against them, because they're gonna make a lot of people look like that. So I think we'll take it serious after last week. We had kind of the big head and had a couple of days up and down practice, and had to get them back down to reality a little bit. And I hope the struggle that we had with Evangel Montgomery kind of set in, and that will help us, take it one game at a time. As far as Cornerstone, they've got it rolling so far as well. So we're going to try to take care of business this week, and then we'll worry about them next weekend.
Fair enough, Coach. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I look forward to seeing what y'all do this season. It's been a lot of fun so far, and only good things happening going forward.
All right. Appreciate the coverage.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, it's Coach Joseph Birch out of Springwood School there in Alabama, one of those schools that made the move over to the 8-man side of the AISA when they opened it up. Again, massive kudos to the AISA for recognizing that that was a move that was going to benefit their members. There's been a lot of associations that they don't get that. They don't understand that. And AISA was one of the ones that did. So a big kudos to them. All right, let's run through the games coming up this weekend. Got some real good ones. Let's see. Let's start. Speaking of which, you know what? Let's start in the AISA. So we mentioned Springwood is going to be at Meadowview this upcoming Friday night. You also have Trinity Christian Homeschool taking on North River Christian at North River on Friday night. And then, let's see. Should be some other ones. Shout out to Max Preps. You know what? If you go to, let's see, bear with me just a second. I know I have the schedule here for AISA. Let's see. Right here. All right. Let's see. So North River Trinity Christian, and then Meadowview Springwood, and that's it. Okay, well, there you go. That's it. Let's switch over to the ACSC. So Southern Christian is going to East Central, because both teams at 1 and 2 on Friday night. And then Evangel Christian is hosting the Tennessee Heat. They're in Alabama, of course. They hosted them 2 seasons ago. And then Evangel went to Tennessee Heat last year. Tennessee Heat has yet to win a game in that series. Evangel Christian goes into the game 4-0. Tennessee Heat at 2-2. And in fairness, the 2 losses, both by 1 point, one in the 11-man game, one to Lighthouse Homeschool. Speaking of Lighthouse Homeschool, they take on Ezekiel at Ezekiel on Friday night. And that does it for the ACSC. Let's switch over to the CFA. Let's see. There is a Thursday night game. It's Cornerstone Christian out of Rainsville taking on Tuscaloosa Christian. Cornerstone Christian at 2-1, Tuscaloosa at 1-1. And then on Friday night, Tabernacle Christian takes on Jacksonville Christian, who is 3-0. The Thunder on a roll. And then you also have Russell Christian hosting Victory Christian, so a battle of Mississippi, CFA Mississippi teams. Victory Christian coming in 0-1, and Russell Christian, like I mentioned, at 3-0. And I want to look real quick. Let's see, when does Jacksonville and Russell? So Jacksonville and Russell play actually on October 7th. Ooh, that'll be a good one. That'd be a real good game. Should be. And a good game anyways. And a very interesting game. So, that does it for the CFA. Let's switch over to Heartland Conference. And coming up this Friday night, you've got Arkansas Christian taking on Abundant Life. Abundant Life coming in 2-0. Arkansas Christian at 1-2. Destiny Christian at 0-2. Taking on Crossover Prep at 1-0. Wesleyan Christian at 0-1. Taking on Claremore Christian 1-0. And then Welch High School at 2-0, taking on Life Christian at 0-1. Switching over to the SEC. Mentioned Tennessee Heat at Evangel Christian. Zion Christian actually goes to Tri-Cities Christian. I think that game is being hosted by Lakeway Christian. They're in White Pine. Zion Christian coming in at 1-1. Tri-Cities sitting at 0-2. Freedom Cowboys will go to Sacred Heart, go to Jackson. Cowboys sitting at 3-0, Sacred Heart at 0-2. And then on Saturday, Franklin Classical will head to Lancaster Christian to play the Knights, a battle of the Knights. Franklin Classical at 0-2, Lancaster Christian at 1-2. Switching over to, let's see, let's go to the TSI AA. Let's see, they've got them split into North and South. So we'll look at the North first. Grace Baptist is going to be at Lighthouse Christian. I mentioned that earlier. Grace Baptist at 2-2. Lighthouse Christian at 0-2. Or 0-3 maybe. Let's see. They lost to Lancaster, Providence. No, 0-2. Let's see. Switching over to the South. TSI AA South. Let's see. Franklin Classical, Lancaster, Grace Baptist at Lighthouse. So there's that. And then, and I might be missing some Providence. I don't think Providence has a game Friday, or Franklin Christian. You know what? Let's check one other place just to verify. But I don't think they have a game. Let's see. Providence Christian is hosting South Haven Christian on Friday night. So that game is happening. And then, let's see. They've got, let's see. No, correction. That's not this Friday night. That's next Friday. This Friday, it's South Haven at Franklin Christian. So a big game there. South Haven Christian coming off the win against Tri-Cities Christian. I think South Haven is 2-1. Franklin Christian is 3-0. So there's that. Tennessee School for the Deaf. I mentioned they are off this week. Let's switch over to, let's see. Let's switch over to the SIFA. Let me pull that schedule up real quick. Probably could have had it beforehand, but let's see. Okay. So SIFA games coming up this weekend. You've got Pack Panthers hosting the Coastal Hurricanes. You've got Orangeburg Christian hosting the Augusta Eagles. And Harvard Christian is off. So 4 of the 5 SIFA teams in action this Friday night. And then real quick, I want to look at the let's look at the SCISA. Should be right about there. We go. Pull up their schedule real quick. This is Friday night. Holly Hill Academy and Faith Christian. Holly Hill at 1-0. Faith Christian at 1-1. Charleston Collegiate at 0-2, taking on Wardlaw Academy at 0-2. And then King Academy at 2-0, taking on Jefferson Davis Academy. So those games happening on Friday night. And I think that just about does it. I know, well, let's see. Let's go one more place. Let's check out the NCISAA. Let's see, where's Cary Christian? There they are. I believe they have a home game coming up, which they definitely need. That's for sure. A little bit of travel. All right. Faith Christian at Beargrass Charter. I think that's 11-man. Halifax Academy at Arendelle Parrott. Wayne Christian at JP2 Catholic. And then Rocky Mount Academy at Lawrence Academy. So all those games coming up on Friday night. And I think that about does it. I think y'all heard enough to me talking. That's probably the truth. So thank you so much.